Hi, afternoon, Year 11, whoever enough is sad enough to watch this. My latest extract for the upcoming exams on Germany and medicine. Now, this one is quite an important one. About life in Germany when the Nazis came to power. So it's about life in Germany, 1934 to 39. Now, the first thing I'll mention is obviously just to remember, a couple of the first things that the Nazis do is properly consolidate power. So they basically bring in things like the SS, the Gestapo, take control of the police and courts, and then very quickly they get rid of opposition in their own party. So we're talking about their Night of the Long Knives in June 1934. So where Hitler basically gets rid of the SA and replaces them with the army. Does that because the SA is getting too out of control. It's about 2 million men. It's also because big businessmen and all the people that have backed him so far have got more respect for the army. So that's Night of the Long Knives, really important in consolidating Hitler's position as Chancellor. The last event in consolidation power is the death of Hindenburg. Often enough people say this is really important. It's not, because he's about 94. He's probably going to die anyway very soon. But when he dies, it gives Hitler the role of Führer, and it brings the army fully under his control. So by the end of 1934, but by August 1934, Hitler is fully in control of Germany. Then we move on to look at what does he actually do while he's in charge. Well, first of all, you talk a little bit about, in this top corner here, I just move my face out of the way. We talk about he's got to solve unemployment. So the first thing he does with the economy is to remove women from the workplace, because why come up with any proper solutions when you can just sack anyone that's a woman? Much easier way of making the records look good. Okay, so that's the first thing that he does. It's called invisible unemployment. Women and Jews removed from the workplace. Another thing he does is he employs somebody called Hjalmar Schacht, and he brings in self-sufficiency or autarky, which is an absolutely rubbish idea, but it sounds great on paper. It basically involves making your own coffee, making your own rubber, making substitutes for everything, so you don't have to trade with other countries. So that's one of the big economic ideas the Nazis come up with. Amongst other things, they do things like the KDF, which is public work, basically public schemes whereby if you pay into them, you get orchestras, apparently Volkswagen Beetles if you pay a certain amount per month. So that's got kind of an initiative for workers to incentivise labour. Another thing, they bring in the DAF, which controls work conditions and pay. And they also bring in the RAD, which is the ones that build autobahns, which in English is a motorway. And they basically get any member between 18 and 40 that haven't got a job into work. All right, so that's a couple of the economic solutions that the Nazis come up with between 1934 and 39. Obviously, they shift from autarky to rearmament quite quickly, and that's what that picture, you know, just move my face again, that's what this picture here is really all about. It's that idea of basically rearming for war. So they gear everything back up again, which again changes life for women as well, because women have to go back to work when they realise that if you want all the men in the army, you need somebody else to replace them in the factories. Invariably, that is going to be women. Okay, so let's just talk now very briefly about how life was effective for women and children. So children were forced to join the Hitler Youth by 1936. It became compulsory. You also had schools change massively. So eugenics was taught, very specific curriculum for girls, very specific curriculum for boys. So massive change for young people in Nazi Germany. Also massive changes for women. The role of a woman changed completely from Weimar Republic, the idea that you could vote or have your own independence, a bit like flapper lifestyle in America. But in Germany, it changed completely with the Nazis to incentivise motherhood. Marriage loans were given, and obviously awards for having children. The Hitler Motherhood Award, if you had 8 children, you got to meet Hitler, a personal handshake and a gold medal. 6 for silver and 4 for bronze. So obviously having children was the big incentive of the Nazis. Don't forget with this one as well, it's not just the idea of having children, it's getting Germany's birth rate up. Because obviously when there's a recession, people don't have children because they're very expensive, as I know myself. So you just basically don't have them. So that is what the Nazis were all about with the role of women. And obviously things like the seedier side of it, we've got things like Lebensborn, which were set up to try and basically get women to have as many children as is humanly possible, to get Germany's birth rate up any which way you can. Obviously, I've just mentioned that the role of women did change. In 1937, they realised with the onset of war that they would need to get women back into the workplace. So that was a big change for women again. Also got to mention the Jews. Obviously, we go from 1933, the book burning, 1935, what you can see on the screen here is Nuremberg Laws, which is removal of rights and citizenship. Graduating slowly but surely to 1938, and Kristallnacht is the main measure that we remember in this period here, up to 1939, where Jewish businesses were ransacked. Okay, so we've got this kind of gradual escalation of violence towards the Jewish population of Germany. So that is really, any questions you get about life in Germany is going to cover those areas. So looking at life for women, life for children, life for the Jewish community. We might also be talking about the economy as well, so don't forget about that. Okay, good luck with your revision.